To get started, I will be using 3 cups of whole wheat flour. The brand of flour that I'm using is by King Arthur. So what I'm doing here is just fluffing up the flour before I level off a cup. I do this so that the cup is not packed with flour. So if you're using this recipe, just keep that in mind. I would like to mention that I have read several comments asking for a whole wheat flour tortilla recipe. So this is what I came up with. I do keep whole wheat flour in my home, and I mostly use it for baking. I really never used it for flour tortillas because my family usually wants the softer tortillas that I get with the white flour. So this is the recipe I came up with that pretty much stays close to my other recipe. And if you do want to check out that other recipe, if you wait till the end of the video, you can click on the picture icon that'll lead you straight there. Okay, so here are my 3 cups of whole wheat flour. Now moving on to the fat. And I read a lot of your comments, and you guys kept asking if there was an alternative to vegetable shortening or lard, so here it is. I'll be using coconut oil today. And I also want to show you other types of fat you can use for tortillas. Here I have safflower oil. This is a very low saturated fat. You can use any vegetable oil that you like, but this is what I have in my house. You could also use butter. For those of you who also asked if you could use ghee, yes, you can. This will just give you an idea of how much butter you would use. Here on the package, it's right over 5 tablespoons of butter for a 1/3 cup. So those are some alternatives you could use when making tortillas. And I will be using a tablespoon of the safflower oil, and I'll show you how later. But right now, I'm going to be measuring off a 1/3 cup of coconut oil for this recipe. I will also be using 1½ cups of hot water. Next, I'll be using 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And I will also be using salt. I'll be using a 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. For this recipe, it would be okay if you used up to 1 full teaspoon of salt. But since I'm using sea salt and it's in big chunks, I'm only going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. Before I combine the ingredients, I wanted to show you how I measure out my coconut oil. Here I have my 1/3 measuring cup, and I'm just going to fill it up with the coconut oil. And as I put coconut oil into the measuring cup, I'm going to press it down firmly. I want a packed cup of coconut oil. So again, if you're using this recipe and you loosely pack the cup, it might not come out the same. So just keep that in mind that I'm actually packing the cup. Now, I will combine all of my ingredients. Okay, so now that all of my water is added and the rest of my ingredients are all combined, I want to show you how sticky and gooey my hands are. This is what you're looking for, or this is what I'm looking for in this dough. Moisture in the dough like this is going to eventually give us really good elasticity, and that in turn will result in a softer tortilla. So at this point, I beg of you, do not add flour. But you could add flour if you wanted to, but then don't put in the comment section that your tortilla didn't bubble or that it came out dry. It's okay if you put flour at this point if you find it easier to work with, but you're going to end up with a drier, crunchier texture tortilla. So if you want a softer texture, especially using whole wheat, do not add flour. And what I'm doing here is I'm using any residual coconut oil, rubbing it on my hands because I don't want to add flour at this point, but I do want to be able to knead it on my surface. So I kneaded it inside the bowl for about 5 minutes so I wouldn't lose the dough all over the place. And now that it formed a ball, I'm turning it out on my work surface, and I've oiled my hands, I've oiled the work surface, and now I'm going to knead it for an additional 10 minutes. Also, when kneading on your work surface, work within a small space because this dough is tacky and it'll start sticking. And later, I will be using a tablespoon of safflower oil to oil the surface and oil my hands again so that the dough can continue to be kneaded without losing it all over the work surface. Again, I am not going to add flour while kneading because I'm trying to retain as much moisture as I possibly can into this dough. This is going to help give me a softer tortilla. And I'm just showing you now that while working the dough, it's sticking less and less. But if you do notice, it is sticking to my work surface, and I'm just going to scrape it with my hands and add it back to my dough ball and continue kneading. Okay, so here if you'll notice, it's sticking to my work surface. So I'm just going to take just a teaspoon actually of the safflower oil, and all I used about a tablespoon throughout the kneading process. But I'm just going to oil the work surface and keep oiling my hands, and this will allow me to continue kneading without the dough getting lost or too tacky or sticky all over my hands. But if you continue kneading the way I am doing, eventually it will stop sticking to your hands because you're starting to work the gluten inside the flour, and it'll start forming a nice, soft, smooth surface, just like this. So it's been 10 minutes, and I did not, once again, I stress to you, I did not add flour while I was kneading. So I'm just going to punch it in, and you'll see it does give a little, and here is the stretchiness that you're looking for in this dough. That is if you want a softer tortilla. Again, there's no harm in adding flour while kneading your dough if you find it too tacky to work with, but again, it will change the end result, the texture that you end up with. Okay, so it has been 15 minutes. My dough balls have been resting for 15 minutes, that is. And I just want to show you, again, just to give you an idea of what your dough should feel like at this point. You can see as I'm trying to pick it up, it still has a very soft, movable texture to the dough. See, it's just so soft and relaxed, and this is what you're looking for. This is going to help give you a soft tortilla. So here I'm preheating my comal, or my cast iron skillet, and I just wanted to show you. I preheat it on a medium heat. I don't even think I use a medium high heat. So if you're cooking your tortilla at a medium high to high heat, sure, it'll bubble up, it'll cook, but by the time you start cooking your second or third tortilla, you're gonna start burning it. So this is why I like to use a gradual, low and slow heat while preheating my comal. So now I am going to start rolling my dough balls out. I am using a little bit or an extra amount of whole wheat flour. Yes, now you can add flour when you're rolling them out. This will allow them to roll out easier and not stick to your rolling pin or your work surface. So here we go. And I also want to show you that I'm going to be rolling out 3 tortillas before I start cooking them. And previously in the comment section below my other tortilla video, between commenters and myself, we realized that the time that we allow the rolled out tortilla to hang out on the side of the bowl does aid in the bubbling process when you cook it. So that's something, something to keep in mind. So after you roll it out, let the tortilla rest on the side of the bowl for maybe a couple of minutes before you toss it into the pan, and that might aid in the bubbling process. Okay, before I do this again, I want to show you. This is the story of my life. Every time in the kitchen, this little cutie pie always tugs at my apron. So if you're a mommy, or you know what, if you're just a parent and you're cooking in the kitchen, you probably could relate if your kids are always bugging you when you're cooking. I just thought I had to show you that. So here we go. I'm going to continue rolling out my tortillas. Okay, I have my first 3 tortillas rolled out. I'm ready to get them started. So here I just want to show you, I am using a damp cloth, and it does not have oil, it's damp with water. And what I do is, in between cooking the tortillas, any residual flour that gets left behind, I wipe it out, because eventually that's going to burn and stick to the next tortilla. So that is why you always see me wiping my cook surface. It's to get rid of any residual flour that comes off of that tortilla. Okay, my tortillas are done, so I just want to show you, give you a close-up look at the texture of the tortilla, and I have to say, they are pretty soft. Even using a whole grain, whole wheat flour, I managed to maintain the pliable, soft texture. Since this is a healthier version of white all-purpose flour tortilla, I decided to do a healthier version, Taco Tuesday. Here is just a chicken taco with sauteed bell pepper, onion, and spinach. I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, you can click on the video icons for more recipes, or you can click on my picture icon to subscribe. Thanks for watching.